Hi, Alex. I'm very pleased to talk to you. You're the cinematographer of the film, which is called Two People Exchanging Saliva. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very
It's an
much.
extraordinary film that really blowed the minds of many of persons who have seen it. So I have a couple of questions for you. The first one, would you please tell me what did you think of the story when you first read the script? And because I feel it strongly resonates with the political situation in the world today. So, and at the same time, it's very metaphorical and it's a different type of universe. So, how did you feel about it when the story was brought to you?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was the writer, the French writer called Boris Vian, and like all his novels are set in this metaphorical kind of dystopia universe, but with just like small details, and that's the same thing. Like you have this world where capitalism is so violent that it's become physical, but I think like the difference with our world is very tiny. So. That's mainly what I liked about it. Like I first thought, okay, so this is going to be a film that is going to go forward and like to go for things and like not be shy about things, and that's something that I really loved about it. And I love the fact that we could shoot in such like a famous and I don't know mythical place as Le Galeries Lafayette, but use this place to distort it a little bit and to question ourselves about how we feel about capitalism and violence and how it can impact, the relationships between people. Like at first, like the script was already super cinematographic because of this.
In general, how important the script is to you as a cinematographer? Like, how do you decide where when you go onto working on the film? What are your main drivers?
For me, the script is really important, not entirely because of the story, because the story is one thing, but there are so many ways to tell a story, like it's a boy meets girl. Um, so the script and the first encounter with, the directors is going to show me whether or not it's going to be something new, something that I can explore. It can also tell me that if I don't feel inspired by the story, I kind of know at once that I'm not the good person for the film. So it's very easy for me to say no because it's not sometimes it's not even that I don't like the script, it's just that I feel that I don't have any ideas. And if I don't have any ideas, that then what am I going to bring to the shoot?
So it's a kind of artistic intuition about what you can bring to the film.
Yeah. Well, as time goes by, I feel that I can trust my instinct. And actually, a lot of us, can trust our instincts. And if the first instinct is not good, then we shouldn't. I mean, it's good. It's good to meet the directors because you can always be surprised with like ideas of mise en scène. But yes, experience shows that you have to trust your guts.
I completely agree with you. So you mentioned the main space where you shot, the Galerie Lafayette, which is a very vast space. How did you approach lighting it and also framing it? I mean, in terms of framing, there are so many interesting um, things that you found on, I don't know, on set or in preparation, because there you're playing with perspective, with different characters being in shot and out of shot. It's very beautiful, but it's so immense to light. How did you work on it?
First, we had this process in pre-production that was very specific, especially in France. It's very rare to work like this in France, because we worked with an animatic uh, that the directors actually did. So actually, when the first time we met with the directors, they said that they wanted to do a whole animatic of the film with the right lenses and everything, like with Blender and I must say I was a bit skeptical at first because I thought, okay, so like I come from fiction, but also a lot of documentary. So I like the chaos, I like, when things happen and you have to, like be resourceful. and they were saying to me that we're going to to follow a script. But actually, like it became way more organic actually because we decided that the first shortlist that we did, and then we had another week of like deciding the shortlist, and then they did another animatic. And in order to do this, they actually did a 3D scan of the whole Galerie Lafayette. And then they added like characters on it, and then the camera with the right specs, and then and then like decided the shots with the right lenses and everything. This actually was so good for the film because the Galerie Lafayette, they're open like 7 days a week from I think like 9 to 8 in the evening. So we had like 2 or 3 times for scouting, like an hour and a half to scout like for 10 sets everywhere in the Galerie Lafayette. So we didn't have time to actually look for shots. And during the day, it's so crowded, it's impossible to decide for anything. So I mean, it was essential for the film that I did this. And this is why we had the time to look for actually for shots on the animatic, on the Blender thing, and then try it out on the Scout. And at first I was skeptical because I was afraid that what we're going to shoot was limited by how by the software, like what the software can do is what we're going to do. But actually, I feel that with this technique, we could really find some shots that were a bit intricate, and like at the very right place. And we had nights where we had like, I don't know, 15 19 shots in the night. So we didn't have time to look for things on set. Like we had a little time, of course, because you always have time to look around, But but those kind of shots really, I mean, we wouldn't have them if not for this prep.
How long was your shooting time?
We shot in the Galerie Lafayette for a week and a half, like in the main space. And then we
Mhm.
had other space because we had Galerie Lafayette des Champs-Élysées and then Galerie Lafayette du Boulevard Haussmann. And then we had like another week and a half for apartments and outside scenes. We wanted for the gallery to be this very shiny place. Um, and shiny in black and white is, you have to really think about it. And I think we can talk about it later. Um, and I knew that the place was so vast that we didn't really have, like, I mean, we had to be very precise. And actually, with Alexandra Fischer, my gaffer, we thought about it as a stage, like a theater stage. So we had the lighting set, like the lights of the Galerie Lafayette, because we couldn't light everything. And then the thing was just to add some volume to
Mhm.
the lights, because
Mhm.
in those stores usually it's very homogeneous. And the thing was for me and for us, yes, to add like a foreground and then a background. What I like about how Alexandra and Natalie approach this place is that the Galerie Lafayette, they're so ample, and it's such like, I feel, when I rewatched the film this weekend, I was like, oh my God, actually the world is the Galerie Lafayette and everything in the outside is very narrow and constricted. And so it's like I feel that when I watch the film, I feel that the world is the Galerie Lafayette. And then you have the backstage, and the backstage is the street, it's the apartments, it's everything. And so we don't want to have like a lot of shadowy places in the Galerie Lafayette. It had to be this place where everything is seen all the time. So yeah, so we were like we're really working on the foreground, and then the background was actually what was already there.
Yeah, everything is seen in the plain daylight, like in the
Ouais.
authoritarian society, right? So
Yeah.
you can be observed.
hmm The issue was that the Galerie Lafayette were open in the day. So actually, we also had to think with Alexandra Fischer for a lighting setup that we could every night take out of the backstage of the Galerie Lafayette, take to the set, and then at 6 in the morning, like put back in the Galeries Lafayette. So it meant
Wow.
nothing heavy, nothing that like all everything has to be on wheels, so you can move it quickly. So it was also like it was a big stake, a big
Of
issue.
course, yeah. Of course, yeah. It's amazing. Whose idea was to shoot black and white, and how did you approach? Because there are so many different types of black and whites, right? So
Mhm.
how did you decide on which particular you were going to do, and how did you do it in terms of craft?
Well, actually, Alex and Natalie came up with, I think at first, when they thought about the script, they thought it should be in black and white. And for many reasons, their reasons were that, color is very distracting and, black and white like really focuses on what's happening. But also, we all had the feeling that black and white is structure, and I feel that in a dictatorship, I mean it resonates the idea of, structure and like a shot is more organized and you see really the patterns of, of a place. Also, I feel that in this story in particular, so you have two ideas, like two main ideas. The first idea is that um, so you pay with slaps, and the second idea is that you cannot kiss anyone. So human contact is forbidden, and I felt that it was so brilliant to have this in black and white because you don't have the color of the flesh in the image as the actors like as the characters have to do. You need to find another way to express eroticism and organicity because you don't have the flesh, and you cannot kiss. So you have to be resourceful, just as the characters have to be. And I felt in Galeries Lafayette, there are so many things, so many details. So I felt it was really the good idea to shoot in black and white in this place, but also it brought so many questions. Um, like how do you make something glowing and bright in black and white, because colors help a lot with this kind of, perceptions. Everything cannot be white, so you need to find, it's in the structures of the light behind things, that you can express it. But also the contrast is very important in black and white because it really makes the image. But you have to be way more precise than in colors with the lighting because um, if you want to have a contrast on a face, if you just like push the button in post-production, you will have a face with wrinkles everywhere. So you have, it's really about a balance between the lighting, the softness of the lighting, or the contrast of the lighting and the contrast of post-production, and also in there the contrast of your lenses, of what you put on the lenses. And I think the balance is way more intricate than in colors. And I actually that was, super interesting to work with. Um,
And to which extent were you involved in discussion on costumes, makeup? Did you like concert all together and decide on that? Did you do any camera tests?
yeah, we did camera test for like to choose obviously to choose the right camera and the right lenses, but also for the bruises. Because we needed to have a color of bruises that we could, manage also in post-production. So have it a bit more. Actually, we added a lot of blue in the bruises, so we can really like take them out and put them in because Alex and Natalie were worried at first that we wouldn't see the bruises, and they're so important to the story because in this world it's a mark of wealth. So so yeah, we ran those tests, and then I mean I was involved, of course, and we had discussions with Rezvan Farsijani, who's a costume designer. She actually designed the dress, like the main dress. And Anna Brun, so the set designer with like all the signalétique, like all the panels
Logos. Yeah.
in the store. But also, Alex is a plastician and an artist. and he's very precise on those things. So, I mean, it was a discussion, but I knew that the director was very, very precise at first. He knows exactly what he's doing. So it was a discussion, but and then like for the costumes, for instance, most of the costumes of Angine were actually lent by Chanel. So so I mean we could look around a bit, but everything was so amazingly beautiful. My
Yeah.
main concern was like the very black outfits of the saleswomen in the store, and so I was more about like adjusting the lighting so we can have always have details on these vests.
Hmm. And there's something that struck me in the film is the rhythm that music brought to it.
Hmm.
And like we can see that your framing, your zooms that you use quite a lot, or some moving in or moving out shots, they're very much guided by the rhythm of the music. Or was it you who guided the music? I don't know. How was it approached? Were the music already composed and you were framing with it, or was it adjusted after? What was the rhythm research in between you and sound department and music?
Well, for the music, the Philip Glass music was actually like he had put
Classy.
it on the animatic. It was already the Philip Glass music, and they kind of thought that they would change it, but I mean, once you've got it, once you've got the music, Philip Glass music on your film, it's really hard to change. Um, for the rest, I feel that actually the animatic was also very helpful with the rhythm. And I had seen the animatic and I knew like how, how they wanted things to happen, but also I mean, the actresses and, whatever was happening on stage was helping me. But also, the animatic can be very tricky. For instance, on the animatic, the characters don't really have. I mean, they have eyes, I think, but I'm not even sure. And they don't like you don't really see where they're looking. It's really ugly. And so you decide a rhythm based on something that you don't want to see for a long time, and then you have Zara Mir or Luana Bajrami, and you really want to look at their faces more because they express so many things. So this is the tricky part with the animatic, but I feel that my worry at first that the animatic would cut our imagination on set. I mean, it was no longer an issue on set because they allowed us to be, instinctful. I feel the rhythm of the shots were quite organic and instinctive, I feel. The only one the one was that was very settled for me was the Philippe Glass music because we knew exactly the length of the music and the rhythm of the music, so they knew exactly how slow they wanted things to be, but the rest I feel was a bit more organic.
You mentioned the actresses who act in the film, and it's far from being your first movie with Luana Bajrami. But I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about this collaboration with female actresses? Is it different from working with actors? And how do you feel in general about the relationship that we as DOPs we have with talents? Because I believe like it's a two-way energy. It's not only what they're giving us and we're capturing, but it's also about what we're giving to them to make their performance happen. So I wondered how do you work with how were you collaborating with them? Like, was there a lot of trust involved? How was it very technical? Was it very, how do you proceed?
Um, I think it was kind of technical, but in a good way. Like you I mean, their relationship with actresses and then, relationship with Luana and Zar was special because both of them are actually directors, and I thought it was very different. I feel that, you can have very different relationship with actors depending on how confident they are with the camera, meaning that some actors and actors really understand like the lens and the lighting, and some of them are like need to trust more, and I feel it's really important for us to be close to them and give this trust. But with Zara and Luana, I mean, they understood everything that we did, and they knew how, like, where to be in order for us to have the shot that we wanted to have. I remember this shot in the bathroom in the scene where Luana goes to the bathroom and brush her teeth. And, it was a very tiny space, and we were three of us in this very small cabin. But you don't have to tell Luana how to put her body in order for us to see her face and like not to have the shoulder. Like she understands at once, what we're doing. And that's something really amazing. And so I feel that the trust there was kind of natural because I mean she knew what I was doing. I didn't have to ask her anything, so it was very organic. Alexandra and Natalie are very precise directors and very close to the actors. So like at the end of every shot, they're like very precise to go directly to the actresses and give like very specific notes. In general, I feel that the trust is not so much technical as we see them like um, very close in a way that I feel that no one else on set can see them. Like we're here before the shot begins and we're here when the shot ends.
Yeah,
And
it's very intimate, right?
it's so intimate, and I feel that we have a responsibility as operators to feel the actors and to be there for their need. But like with the distance that we have, as operators, I think it's a very specific spot that like for instance the blocking, you feel that there are actors that you can go to the director and say, okay, so we need to, like, it has to be there and there and there, and then there are other actors you feel that they're more instinctive. You have to understand really how they work.
I have also a question about the crew because I
Mhm.
saw that your grip and gaffer were female, were ladies, which is so cool. Um, how do you feel? Was it something that you did on purpose to involve more female technicians on set? How was in general the decisions on that on the sets of this film?
um I'm gonna be honest, with two technicians with the same skills, I'm always going to pick the women, but with the same skills. Like I'm not like the reason why I picked Amira and Alexandra is not because they're women, but they're because they're skilled. But I
They're
feel
good.
that as a French cinematographer, as a no, as a female cinematographer, if
Also French.
women if women don't hire women, who will? So we have this duty as women to hire as many women as possible so they have a resume and they have films to show and they have like a name growing. So I feel it's a responsibility. I work with many men, but yeah, I will always prefer, and if the film is easy at like for I don't know, for the grip, and I have a very skilled man and a less skilled woman, but the film is not complicated, I might also choose the women for sure. But but then I have, you know, I'm not going to pick a bad a bad technician just because she's the woman. But then I feel that working with women is I don't know, it's natural. I mean, Amira is an amazing grip, and I don't see the difference. Uh, like technically, the job is done the same way. Um, Maybe sometimes I like working a bit more with women, but to be honest, but it really depends on the characters of the people.
So what was the equipment that you chose for the film and how your choices were guided? what were the decisions made and how?
Well, Alex knew that he wanted to shoot with a full frame. He was afraid that we would have some small spaces, and we needed the implicit, like to have this ample um, perspective. But actually, the Galeries Lafayette are very big, but I feel that it was really the right call to go with full frame. What I mentioned before.
What does it mean going full frame? What does it impacts exactly?
Well, for the same foreground, and the same lens, the full frame will have more volume. So it will be more ample. The smaller the sensor, the more constricted and narrow the feeling. And so in this world, everything is so wide, especially in the Galeries Lafayette. Um, so I felt, and then you have the apartment, but I feel it's the same thing. All the scenes outside of the Galeries Lafayette are scenes of people so alone. Whether it is Malaise alone in her apartment, or Angine alone with other people, but still alone. And I feel that this feeling of space. And I feel that they're so lost in these big spaces. Even if you feel that, it's ample, but you feel that Mele's apartment is tiny. So you know that it's tiny, but you have this space, and you have this character alone in this space. And I feel this was absolutely the right call. But we compared a lot of lenses and a lot of cameras. We compared it with a red camera, and in the end, it was more about contrast, like having um, the definition that we wanted, like the precision of the shots that we wanted, but also having this diffusion, like a little bit of diffusion that, in the end, you know, uh, helped us not to have like something, where you see every pores of the face.
No, the
Also.
faces are very beautiful in the film. Yeah, the textures of the skin are very very soft and flattering without being too commercial.
Well, actually, it was a very big stake because as I told you, when you have a face, you have you have small shadows, but actually in colors, it's another color. And in black and white, very quickly, this is going to be black and black, and so the contrast on the faces becomes very intense very fast. So. So it was about diffusion, but also, as I said, it was about lighting, like finding the right lighting to express the contrast without, adding 10 years to every actresses that we were shooting. One of the key references for us was Olympiade, um, because I feel that the way he works with by Jacques Audiard and lit by Paul Guillaume, I feel that um, you have this idea of contrast because you always have like this, small highlights everywhere, and that's something that I tried to have also in this film. Um, but you have this softness in the end. So he really managed to have this like this balance between softness and contrast, and that was, I think, one of the guidelines of how I thought the image, because we wanted to have this very contrasty lighting outside of the Galeries Lafayette, and very dark, but always have, small lights that allowed us to have contrast without, like to also have like a lot of gray in the middle.
Yeah, I noticed that there was a big difference between the inside of Galerie Lafayette and the outside world. It was also there was more handheld, I feel,
Mhm.
outside. And there was this, I was very disturbed by the outside shots. So when you arrive to this gallery, it's kind of horrible how the capitalism seems reassuring and nice, at this point. So I guess that was the idea. That's how I
Mhm.
felt.
Mhm. Mhm. there is one last thing that I wanted to say about this film and about the directors, because there have been a lot of things said about how like it's a majority of women in the crew. You know, we have women director, like one of the directors are women, women producers, set designer, costume, DOP, etc. Like a lot of us were women. I feel that being a feminist, you know, in our field is a lot of time very easy because you have a lot of talented, you know, women. When we did the color grading, it was in New York in April, and I was actually 3 months pregnant, and it was kind of a secret at the time. And when I told Alex and Natalie, so I might come, but you know, I'm pregnant. It will be like the week after my ultrasound. So, you know, I have, you know, I don't know what's gonna happen. And actually, without, I don't know, questioning it, they took me refundable tickets, but also they bought me an insurance in case I need to go to the doctors when I was in New York. And you know, I feel that being a feminist, 85% of the time, super easy, you know, because you have good technicians. But 15% of the time, you know, it takes something. And actually they did it, you know. They didn't ask me anything. They just bought me the insurance and took me with them, you know. And I mean, I'm very grateful for that because that's true feminism, I think.
Yeah, and hopefully it will reassure, this kind of acts are reassuring for women to work in the
Yeah.
industry, you know, because we all
Yeah.
come to this age where we question, well, I'm going to drop out of the industry for 1 year if I'm getting
Mhm.
pregnant. Oh my God, am I going to be allowed to come back? So, yeah, productions and directors who like create the safe space, safe environments for female workers, it's very important. And we have
Yeah.
to
And not
keep
everybody does
them.
that, you know. There are feminists as long as it's easy. And, you know, when you need to have like be like adjust a little bit because they have children, because we're pregnant or anything, you know, a lot of them just like back out, you know, like, okay, so you're not available. I'm sorry, but like the tickets are too expensive, or la, 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 or what are you gonna do if you're going to be sick? La, la, la. But that's the extra step that's actually going to make things work for women in this industry. So I think it's worth mentioning.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.